Alrighty, my name is Chris Winters and welcome to the Calls of the Coaching Call. Today is April 16th, 2016. Most of you by now have probably filed your taxes. If you're early birds, you would have done that earlier and you don't have to stress out the last minute like most people do on that end of it. So tax season for me is a lot happier than it used to be. Just on that part of it there. Some of you may or may not know, a few years ago when I did really well in my first year in business, I had a huge, gigantic tax bill. And I spent the next basically 6 months obsessed with how do I reduce the taxes down. And I was taxed over $500,000. So I was literally looking at islands off of Belize I could have bought with that money. I was thinking to myself, I could have bought a Range Rover for every day of the week, so on and so forth. I could have rebuilt. I could have put that money back in my business, et cetera, et cetera. And then I started looking at how do other companies do this? What is this, that whole Irish Dublin squish sandwich or whatever they call it? How does that work? How does Starbucks end up paying next to nothing in taxes, and GE and all these other places legally? Not evasion, but legally. So anyways, so we'll go ahead and get started here. What I want to start with here is a story. Maybe some of you heard it before, but it's always good. It's a good story. I heard this many, many years ago. And the story goes like this. There's a man, he's walking home, and it's dark outside, and he sees ahead of him this image here that you see on the screen now. There's somebody under a lamppost, and he's looking for something. They're not quite sure what he's looking for. As the man walks closer and closer to this man looking down on the street, he says, "Sir, it looks like you lost something. Can I help you?" And the gentleman looks up and says, "Yes, I've lost my house keys, and I'm locked out of my house." And the gentleman says, "Well, I've got a couple minutes. I'll be happy to help you look." And so the two gentlemen underneath the light of the street lamp looked for about 5 more minutes for the gentleman's keys. And the bypasser said to the other man, he said, "Look, I'm pretty convinced your keys aren't anywhere near here because we just don't see them on the street." And the other man looked at him and said, "Oh, no, I lost my keys in front of my house. It's just that there's more light out here on the street." And that's what a lot of us end up doing, right? We end up looking in other places, in other shiny object places, and other places that look better to try to find the things that we need, to try to find things we think are going to improve our lives, improve our businesses, improve the quality of our lives, when in reality, all the keys that we need, the keys to the kingdom, are usually right in front of us. And it's not where it seems bright and shiny all the time. And I know for myself personally, I spent the first basically 4 to 1 years of my life looking out at other areas that seemed more shiny, and I was missing out on some of the best keys that I ever had on myself. As many of you know, that I had a really bad drinking problem for many, many years, and that is a form of looking elsewhere. It's basically an avoidance. And in order to successfully overcome that, I had to look deep inside myself for my own keys. And what I discovered was sometimes it's painful to do that, but your strongest nuggets, the strongest nuggets you'll ever have of strength that you'll find is usually hidden deep inside what maybe you've been avoiding for a long time. And you'll find the greatest strength inside your so-called weaknesses. And you're not going to find the answers outside yourself. Everything begins on the inside and goes out. It doesn't begin from the outside and goes in. And that's a process I learned through transformation and Bill Phillips and his whole wonderful community that he had at the time on that. And that was the whole concept behind it, was that you're not going to try to get fit and healthy starting from the outside, like going to the gym, and exercising. that'll get you there. But how you make true, lasting, sustainable changes to where you make the changes, you make such a true transformational process within yourself that you literally can't even recognize yourself, both emotionally and physically. And that starts from the inside. You start from the inside out, and only then do the changes become sustainable. And it's been 9 years now, and all of my changes have been sustainable and then some on that. So I would encourage you not to look outside, not look elsewhere, other places, especially not just in life, but particularly within this course. I see a lot of people. I review over quite a few of the support tickets just to get a feel and a pulse of what's going on. And I see them again and again. I see tickets coming in, and people want to try to find 20 different ways to do something different. And that's a perfect example of looking under the light when you've lost your keys, but your keys are really inside the course, not outside someplace else. So, follow this proven method. Once you follow this proven method and you're successful at it, now you're ready to teach the teacher, and I'm ready to learn. Okay. But until then, follow this system. It works. It really, really works. This is not a fly-by-night thing. So I want to show you something here. I'll ask you a quick question on that. And then right after this, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of the coaching call. But would you fight a bear? Think about that for a second. Would you fight a bear? Let me show you a video of a man who fought a bear on here, and we'll see if I can get my audio to work with this. You don't really need the audio on it, but that's it. So I'll go ahead and expand it.
At the river mouth, the bears catch only the tastiest, most tender salmon, which is exactly what we at John West want. John West endure the worst to bring you the best.
Okay, let me go ahead and exit this out on that. So there's just a little bit of humor in that, but the point is that you really want to take on yourself. I mean, basically, your bears. Everyone, we've got bears inside ourselves, and we want to make sure that you're fighting those demons, that you're fighting the resistance to do other things. You see, we live in a society today where we've got this 10,000-year-old brain that's not equipped to deal with the abundance of food that we have around us and the abundance of distractions that we have around us. And those two things, I think, are the number one thing that misguide people and take them off this kind of narrow path of success. It's so easy just to suddenly get distracted. It's addictive. You've got, whatever people are doing these days, the Snapchat, the Facebook, Twitter, whatever, if you're single, Tinder, whatever the distraction is, it's out there. And it's just a boom, 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 you're being bombarded constantly. And at the same time, there's just an abundance of food. And the kind of food that's abundance is the kind of food that really encourages people to seek more distractions. And the reason is because the majority of food that's available in the world is usually something that is high in sugars, like wheats and rices and sugars, and you eat that kind of stuff, that kind of food, and it just takes your bloodstream and your insulin levels, and it takes them for a tailspin up and down, and then have to reach for the coffee, and it goes up, and then we're kind of buzzing, so we want to kind of enhance that buzz more, so we end up distracting ourselves more. So I'd really encourage you to fight your own bears, your own battles, because that's where the real frontier is on that end of it. So anyways, let's go ahead and move on. There's some things that I want to cover today that are really important, and then I have some people sending some questions, so I'll go over those questions, and I'll turn it over to questions and answers to the group here. So let's go ahead and get started here. I really want to go over just this overview of how do you really build a really successful pay-per-lead business, and that's really the business we're in. We're in a pay-per-lead business. So I want to go over that to make it sure there's very, very clear with everybody, even some new people that came on, but even people that have been here for a while. I want to make sure that this roadmap is as crystal clear as possible. It's really important. And this is something I wish someone would have showed me 5 years ago. So really the foundation of this entire process is really built off of building some trust with Google. Google is the 800-pound gorilla out there, and particularly with local marketing. They were the founders. They had the foresight many years ago to see that, hey, one of the biggest areas of online is going to be local businesses. And man, they went headstrong with it, right? I mean, they went out and they literally decided they were going to map out the world and take pictures of it. Unbelievable. I mean, now it's common and it's there, right? We all use it, but back then when they says, hey, we need to go out and take pictures of the whole world so we can map the whole world. And we're going to do it everywhere. And we're going to drive these little cars around and take cameras. I mean, that's a incredible foresight. Anyways, so we really want to, we can't avoid that. So how do we build trust with Google? One of the best ways to build trust with Google is just have a nice, good quality site in a couple of cities. One site, a master domain site that's ranking in 2 cities on page 1. By that point, you're going to have some pretty darn good trust with Google. Google's going to, I mean, you're pretty much in at that point, right? You didn't, not just 1 city, but you got 2. Maybe you start in Houston, start ranking up, start getting up there, then you add, Austin on that or some other city close by. And at that point, you're on page 1, especially if you're above the fold on both those page 1, you've earned a tremendous amount of trust on that. Now, at that point, and I found another example. Let me show you another example of this for the phone call. I found this. And there's just so many of them out there. But what we're doing here is we're creating a strategy where, number one, we're coming in and building trust with Google. And then as we start to build trust with Google, there's going to be 2 leveraging points that are going to happen. Number one is there's this tipping point that happens when you build a master domain site. I didn't invent this, okay? I just went out and reverse engineered other sites that are doing it. And there's a lot. So it's not a hack, okay? There is definitely a very strong algorithm to this. And there's no reason why Google would ever change it, okay? Because it's not a hack on here. So basically this is it. So let's say, and I've given other ones in this handyman one, so I thought I'd give a new one here. So this is, and you can find them all over the place, but this is bail bonds, right? If you had a bail bonds, then this particular company here is just, it looks like they're just in California. So they're not even nationwide yet. They could literally take this thing and explode it to another 50 cities, literally in a couple of months if they wanted to organically. And I'll show you why in a second. But bail bonds is a pretty competitive niche. I think last time I checked, the pay-per-click Google AdWords is running around $25 a click. So that's quite a bit. So it's a fairly competitive niche on here. Now, bail bond San Diego that's a very competitive niche. It'd be really nice to be right up there. And this is the site that I'm talking about. I'm going to show you some more examples on that. So they're on my IP address, right? They're number 2. So they're probably somewhere above the fold for sure. Now let's take a look at how many backlinks how many recent backlinks that they've got pointing to this, because it's pretty impressive to be there, right? So here we go. Take that. They got a total of 7, and they only have a trust flow of 9. Their citation flow is out of whack. So it's really kind of spammy, but still they're ranking. And if we look at the backlinks are really easy. We're going to see more of these same backlinks for the other cities on here. These are all easy backlinks to get. We're not talking private blog networks, none of that. let's continue on here at this same site. So this is Bell Bonds Riverside. That's Riverside in Los Angeles, for those of you who are not familiar with the area. And it's a massive area. I mean, Riverside is huge. It's not like some little dinky suburb. Ranking for Bell Bond Riverside is a huge, huge deal. And where are they here? So they're down here. On my IP address, they're down here. They're above the fold. Pretty impressive, right? I mean, you're going to get a lot of traffic coming into that organically. How many backlinks? Three simple backlinks. That's it. Okay. And these backlinks, again, are nothing special. They're super, super easy to get. Anybody could get them. Okay. They're not private networks. They're not writing 500-page articles. They're just literally a backlink. Okay. All right. So let's continue on here. Bell Bond San Jose. Hey, long time ago, used to have an office in San Jose, right across the street from Google back then. And it's a substantial city. If you're ranking in this area, you're going to get a lot of searches. Where are they here? Well, they're number 2. And again, the backlinks that they have are just 4. And if you actually went back and studied the backlinks, you'd find out it's almost identical backlinks for all of these. They're basically citation backlinks for the most part, just in different locations. Really easy stuff to get, okay? What about this one out here? Chula Vista. You might think, oh, Chula Vista is just a small suburb out of San Diego. I mean, it's still substantial on here, and you don't want to miss it out. They are number 1 here. It's a small area, so they have a lot less bad. They just have two backlinks on here. And these are not big backlinks. They don't have any trust flow, these backlinks. Okay, these are the same backlinks location center as they did with all their others. So what's the point here? If it's not, I want it to be crystal clear that at this point in the game, a lot of people come into this and they start thinking, well, I want to go right into paid advertising right after that, especially the Google and the Bing pay-per-call paid ads, not even the clicks, the pay-per-call ads that they have. And most people don't even know they exist, yet they've been around for 4+ years. They just keep getting better, and they cost less than a click, and it's a direct call. You can't get any cooler than that. And people want to jump right into that right away. I'm telling you from experience, if you jump into that part of it right away, you're gonna mess up the steps. The first thing is we want to build some trust, and we're building a strong foundation of a business here. And then you don't have to wait until you're organic in 50 cities, none of that kind of stuff. But there is a tipping point where it all depends on the niche. But our experience has been, and what we've seen other students do, is that when you get to a point to where you've got a master domain site and you've got the first 4 to 7 cities ranking page 1, now that's going to be a battle. I'm not kidding you. It's going to be a battle. It's not going to be that hard. Depends on your niche. But we're providing every possible resource we can to you on here. We've got basically as many private blog network domains that you want to purchase, and they're just at cost, right? So if anybody's unclear about that, we're not charging for those. It's whatever a regular domain costs. We have a customized scraping software that my team built and is constantly improving. That we could, quite frankly, build a whole other business out of, but that's not our business. Okay, and so whatever, if you need good authority sites with good backlink profiles, all this stuff from the UK or Australia or Canada, the US, whatever, our system can find those. And these are the ones there's so many millions and millions of websites out there. These are ones that have slipped through the cracks. They didn't show up on GoDaddy's expired or auction list. They didn't show up somewhere else. Okay, they just slipped through the cracks entirely. These are little gems no one knows about. And so you have full access to those. So instead of spending hours, doing the bids and, auctions and playing that whole game and then spending 80, 90, 100, 200 bucks sometimes on a domain, you don't have to look for it in nothing. You just call in, you just send in a request, follow module 7, the rules there on how to order them from us. And our team, usually within 24 to 36 hours, we'll get them right back to you. And so it's just a fantastic opportunity. And then if you want to layer on top of that, doing some link exchange within the group And we have, guidelines that we follow for that, so we don't, so no one's looking like a big spamming link center, link farm. Then you just leverage it out, and you just got to take your time and do it slow and steady wins the race on this. But once you start breaking through, on the master domains, every single city that you rank on page one, the next one is always going to be easier, and the next one's always going to be easier, and the next one, and the next one, and then you're going to hit a tipping point, and then it's going to be like all you got to get is like some citations, and you're done. Okay, you can even share the same citations among your different cities, just like I just showed you here with the bail bonds here. But you got to get through that tipping point. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because you're going to create all this momentum. Then you're going to get to this point to where you're just going to you're going to see a point where you're going to scale out, and everything's going to become, it's going to kind of float to you. It's going to become very easy. But you got to do the work up front to make it happen. Okay. Now, somewhere along there, I would say at a minimum of 2 pages are ranking on page one. Maybe one in Houston, one in Dallas, something like that, or whatever. You gain some trust with Google. Google's like, you're cool. You're good. Now, at that point, that's going to be a perfect time to now start to add a second source of traffic to your business. And that would be a perfect time to add the Google pay-per-call ads and the Bing ones too. When I lay out the training, it's going to be, you're going to start with Google. Once you got that figured out, then you're going to layer Bing on top of that. You're not going to do both at the same time. And that's going to give you 2 sources of traffic, and Google's going to trust you. So at that point, they're going to give you the absolute best rates with these. It's the way this pay-per-call thing works. Okay. If you don't do it that way and you look for shortcuts, okay, you're out there looking underneath the street lamp for your keys when they're not there, just because there appears to be more light. It's just not, you're not going to build a good foundation in your business, because ideally what happens here is that now you start layering this on top, and then you start matching up the cities with your Google paper ads, and then you start to, and then you got about 5, 6, 7 cities doing this, and at that point, for 90% of the niches, you're going to replace what would be a really good income. Okay, I've shown before. Just the 4 sites we have, our same domain, 4 cities we have. Not even ranking, most of them not even ranking above the fold, but still on page 1. And it pulls in about $2,000 to $2,500 a month. That's just 4 cities. So if you have 5 or 7 up, that's going to change things there. And on those that we're doing, we're not even doing paid ad. That's all organic. I could almost, I could increase that by around 30 to 40% if we started adding the Google AdWords to it. But we're too busy with our two core niches right now, still expanding those out. Anyways, that's the ticket. That's the plan. And what happens if you do this the correct way? You're going to create a good, safe, consistent source of leads organically, and we're not using any crazy backlinking strategies. They're very, very simple. And the reason they're simple is we just go out and we go out and we reverse engineer what other people are doing. We don't go out and buy a whole bunch of SEO courses. That's just maybe there's some little nuggets you can capture here and there. But if you really want to know it's working, you just go out and find out who's on number 1. And these days with, tools like Majestica and HRF and stuff like this, you can easily reverse engineer what's going on. And then you can find other sites and you can clearly see patterns. And I'm telling you, the patterns to rank these kind of sites, especially locally, is no, you don't need like a whole bunch of backlinks from places of the exact same niche. It's good to have a few, But I'm telling you, the majority of them are not. I did one case study in the training area to point this out. It was in San Diego. It was a DOI attorney. DOI attorney in San Diego ranking number one. Guess what? That site, the kind of revenue that site's bringing in is well over $1 million a year, hands down, just in that one city, ranking number one. But when you look at their backlink profile, okay, their number one link, the one that's pushing it all the way up, has nothing to do with law. Zero. In fact, you go down their top 5 sites, their top highest quality, most powerful backlinks, they got nothing to do with law. Nothing. And most of the links are not these 700 word original article stuff. A lot of them are simply an image that clicks back to the site. Sometimes it's just a pure naked link. Okay. So SEO is not that complicated. It's just, it takes patience. And understand that a lot of people that want to sell you stuff on how to, the secrets of ranking, they usually got a lot of like software and tools and methods that they want to sell you. Okay, that's just, now not everyone falls in that category, so I'm not going to, I don't want to put everybody in that boat. Just, it's just the reality. It's just the way it is. So, and then at this point, what you're going to do is you want to. Let me just pull this up because this visual part I think really brings it home for people. Is here. Look. I know where, whether you're in the United States or not, you don't have to make this, you don't have to do it this way, but I would strongly encourage you to do this. This is the largest marketplace in the world. So let's say that you're ranking here in Phoenix, Arizona, okay? And you got another city here in San Antonio that you're also ranking for. And then you've also have layered on top of these two after your ranking, you've now layered on here on top of this a second source of leads, which is going to be your paid leads, okay? And the pay-per-call leads, not clicks, calls. And they cost way less when you have trust with Google. They cost way less than the clicks on that. And it's always been that way, okay? Now, once you start gaining a little momentum and you got 4, 5, 6 cities going, okay, now there's this tipping point that goes on, and then you just start expanding out, and you just start going and going, and there's just no other place in the world like this, okay? It just goes on and on. Now you're up to 42 cities, 50 cities, 55, 65, 80, 100. You see what I'm saying? This is what you want to stay focused on and scaling, okay? It's just, this is where the abundance is, okay? So if you're from somewhere else and you got an accent or something, you shouldn't be talking to the customers anyways. That's not what we do. But it doesn't matter because what you're offering here is phenomenal. There's local business owners have been bombarded with promises of SEO, promises that, you sign this contract for SEO and we'll get you up, and then, they're trying to do it, and then if you do something wrong, then bam, you're going to get slapped in the face. And on the way up too, by the way, on the way up, you're dancing, right? You're going up and back and forth and dancing and back and forth doing the Google dance. And what's your client doing? Freaking out. And that's a bad business to be in. Sorry. And you should be building your own assets anyways, and that's what we're doing. And then we can turn around and just say, hey, this is what we offer. We're offering a 3-day free trial. Bam, the leads come in, and then you also layer on top of that some paid ads, and you can do the paid ad within the time frames that they're open. They will be freaking out. They're like, no one has ever done that for us before. We're signing up. We want all the leads for ourselves. Okay, it's a really, really great conversation to have. So, anyways, I wanted to make that very clear. What we're doing here and the reasoning behind it, okay? Because there's even experienced members who have been around for a little while. The Call Zoo 2.0 has not been around that long, so but that's why we do it. So I want to make that absolutely clear on that end of it. So let's talk about a couple of other things here, just to avoid some common mistakes along the way. Um, Select one niche. Do your due diligence on this. I've provided all the steps for this, and all the videos in that. It is the largest module, and there's no getting around it. It takes some due diligence and it takes some effort on your part, and I'm willing to work with you on that. So when you follow through all those steps and you got the worksheet down, and you think you've got your top 3 niches in, and you've got reasons for it, then send it in. I'll invest a good amount of my time going over it and giving you my feedback. And the people that have sent that in, sometimes I just say, you got to scrap all 3 of these, and this is why, X, Y, and Z. Sorry, this is what you need to do next time, so on and so forth. Other times it's been, hey, 2 of these 3 niches are fantastic. The third one sucks, and this is why. And then, it's just these little tiny things that people overlook that it's hard to put in a training course, because how do you put 5 years of experience, all the little nuances in the training course? I don't think it's difficult. I'll say that. So I think I've done the best job I can so far with it, but this ensures that nothing gets slipped through the cracks, right? And I see people that come in and they're like, they want to start in 2 or 3 different niches. And it's no. If you understand the pattern and the process that we're going through here, you do not want to start in 2 or 3 niches. You want to start in 1. Okay, you want to stay on that narrow path of success. And think about it, it's a narrow road of success, and you want to stay on that with your blinders on. Okay, and avoid all the distractions out there, and just stay focused. In the beginning, it takes patience, but you're gonna build your way up. I did allude this a little bit earlier, but don't try to reinvent the process. Okay, there's people, and especially when you attract more of the kind of people who like, there's a certain kind of person out there. There's nothing wrong with them that like really enjoys like SEO. They just enjoy all the little nuances and the little tactics to it. There's some people that really enjoy that, and it's usually those kind of people that love to come in and just analyze and tear the crap out of the whole process and the course and everything that we're doing. And I'm not saying question blindly, but I don't think you have to question blindly. We've shown an abundance of proof on here. This is not we're not selling Teespring t-shirts here, okay? Which is kind of a fad. I don't hear anything about it now. This is a very sustainable business model, and the product that you're offering is, not a fancy shirt with a niche and some names on it. It changes businesses' lives. It gives them exactly what they want. You don't have to think about what you're going to deliver to them. You're delivering live calls, right? So don't try to reinvent the process. Just trust in the process, really. And as you start to gain more success from it and you work up from there, then I said this before, we have a lot of collective intelligence within this group. So, I don't want to turn that away. We get great ideas all the time on that end of it. We got one in just a while ago that somebody suggested that we also have MP3 files of these coaching calls. Yeah, that's easy to do. I never thought of that. We're going to do it. Somebody at the mastermind group in Vegas came up with a really good suggestion, and it started from a valid concern, and that was, if we're all using the same, well, they don't have to, but if it's easier though, if we're all using the same Calls to WordPress theme, and then it comes with our custom-made plugins, is that not leaving a footprint? And my initial response to that was, well, if you go to Theme Forest, which is a great place to look for WordPress themes and stuff. The number one selling one there is sold like 3 million. So, Google's not penalizing that, right? Why would Google penalize people for buying a good WordPress theme? And yes, it does leave a footprint. However, I said, you know what? I will ask my programmers and see is this something relatively easy we can do, or is it even possible, or whatnot? And I went back to my development team, and bam, they're almost done with it, and they'll be releasing them out shortly. So now you can rest assured that your themes and all the themes get automatically updated. You don't need to go download it. It pushes out, and you get that little on your dashboard. You get that little like that little red number 1 or 2. You need to update blah blah blah. So and it'll have all instructions on how to do it. So was it a big footprint before? Nah, probably not. But guess what? Now it's gone. Now it's eliminated. Even the plugin, no Google bot will be able to recognize one plugin from the other. So there's a lot of collective intelligence out there in the group. So I'm not telling you just to not reinvent the process, not question things, but don't question it to the point to where it's really distracting you, I guess is what I'm going to say. Don't skip the steps. You don't want to skip the steps. Okay. I know people like to go through a course, like they can go for every module first and they watch everything and skip over back and zigzag up and down. And they feel like they've accomplished something, but all you've done is watch a bunch of training videos. You haven't actually done anything. So don't skip the steps. If you haven't finished module 1, don't go on past it. Okay. Don't do it. The amount of material that I've released so far is just slightly ahead of the people in the group that are the farthest ahead. Okay. But if I start releasing everything in, like we've got so many exciting modules coming up. If I start releasing stuff now, people are they're gonna stop what they're doing now to go distract themselves and watch the future ones when they shouldn't be. You should be very demanding and selfish of your time, and say my time is vitally important. And I haven't completed module 1, or I haven't completed module 2, or, I haven't completed the private blog network sections, all that kind of stuff. If you haven't done that, you don't move on. You stay there, get it done, and move on. So I'll stop getting off of that. Look, one mistake I did make is that I made one of the modules in the course basically a hack, and that's the Google 3-pack hack. And that's, you understand that's just an added bonus for those of you who qualify for it. And that's just a little dose of extra traffic, but it's a hack. It's not how you build a solid business model. You build a solid business model with predictable paid traffic and safe, consistent organic traffic. That's how you do it. Okay. It's too much of a shiny object for people, and some people are getting really distracted with it. And I think I've done more harm than good, honestly, with that. So I need to. The last group that came in, that's it. It's never getting released again, ever. If you're in the course right now, it'll always show up in your members there. But new people who come in, it's not going to on that. So because there's people that despite my videos and going over this kind of stuff before, they just like bam, they just want to go right there. They don't even have a site ranking. They have no trust. They haven't even picked out a niche. They just think of some niches out there. That's just not how you build a business model. And the last thing is just patience. You got to have patience. You want to build this thing up, you got to have patience. All right. I don't know of any business, online or offline, in the world that you just come in and if you don't do your due diligence and patience and work out it. That's how you build a business. That's how it goes. So, alrighty. So I think we're questions and answers at this point for the people who sent them in, and then I'll turn over to the chat box in here. And I don't know who sent these in, so I don't have the names on here. My team puts them in here. And on some of these, I haven't read them. So some of them I use them as examples, and I can get kind of basically I dish out a lot of tough love, but it's not personal. Okay. And it's nothing against you individually. These are questions that I want to encourage everybody to send questions in. Anyways, I'm lost with choosing the right niche. Things like plumber or home removals. Are these good? Okay. So this is obviously someone who did not go through module 1. Okay. I went into extreme detail in module because it is the most important. You do not come back and ask, just without doing any work, come back and say plumbers are home removals. I don't mind intelligent questions before you submit it in that I can tell you've done some work. Or my team can tell you that you've done some real due diligence and like you got a really valid question on a particular niche and you can tell that person's done the work. And they're kind of, we'd be happy to do that. But this kind of thing, you got to go back to module 1, man. Please go through the work there. You mentioned not to use Spider Spanker. And the reason that's X'd out is that's the person's name who teaches the opposite. But I understand what you are teaching and sort of confused. Okay, so it's a valid question. You're going to get, certainly, I don't have any, notice when I'm teaching with SEO, it's nothing crazy. Right? We basically have 3 sources of backlinks, right? And they're clean sources, right? We have private blog networks, Web 2.0s, which have high trust flow to them. Okay, so they're good. So we have some variety there, and some citations, but not many. Okay, a few citations. That's it. There's nothing else. Okay, and it's slow and steady wins the race. It's not. So that's it. There's nothing. There's nothing controversial about that. Okay. But the Spider Spanker, the only people that use Spider Spankers are what? People are trying to hide something. And what are they usually trying to hide? Their private blog networks. To me, it seems like a pretty big footprint. Hence, I don't recommend using them. It's just me. Okay? If you want to do it, you can. Or maybe my programmers should contact, because it's a plugin, right? Maybe my programmers should contact them and show them how to make it so that each Spider Spanker looks unique to the whole world every single time it's installed. But anyways, that's why we don't use it. Regarding the purchase of a domain and hosting it, I have Cloud9 as a host. Is that okay? No, don't use Cloud9. I know that there's some people who've gotten feedback from this. There's some people who've always had Cloud9, have always hosted, their private blog networks on it, and they're still fine today. Great, no reason to move anything, right? But there's also been many people who have lost their entire private blog network system has been de-indexed. Now, I don't know who was the first person to discover that Host9. If you went in and you got a retailer's version of it, that you could basically get pretty much unlimited different IP addresses over time. And only for about $1 or so a month. I mean, it's a fantastic thing, and I created a free course. There's no charge for it, which taught people how to hide their footprints, and the domain was one that I did, and that went ballistic. I just went viral. There's so many people signed up. I wouldn't promote it. I just put it out there, and just like one person after another found it. It went crazy, and then everybody jumped on the whole Host9 thing, and it got ruined. So no, we don't recommend Host9. We have our preferred hosting company, and I'm not making a free course out of it. In fact, some of these videos go out publicly, so I'm not going to mention it here, but it is in the members area. And it works really, really well. And the company, I know the owner personally. He approached me a couple of years ago at an event, and with his company and stuff. And I vetted him for the next 12, 14 months, and tested out and back and forth. I talked to other people who have really expensive private blog networks that were using it. They just open up their books, and they have third parties come in that are people who are really good at SEO come in and try to find leaks and stuff in their system, and they can't. So they got a really good system going on, and they're really smart, and they're dedicated to it. So that's the one we recommend. You can also do the kind of old-fashioned way, which is you go out and you get a combination of cheap hosting and kind of middle-of-the-road hosting. HostGator and GoDaddy, and then some cheap ones. The problem with some of those is, however, is that particularly with the cheap hosting, is that you usually get what you pay for, and for a lot of the cheap hosting, what it is it's just it's someone who bought the, I don't even know what it's called now. You can get you could open up your own hosting company, and you could sign up with HostGator, and then you can rename it whatever you want, right? And really, the whole back end is all HostGator, and you're running off of their backbone, but it's your company name on the front end. So there's a lot of cheap hosting that does that. And basically what they do is they just block off a few sections. And it's really just geared directly towards people who are doing private blog networks. And if you go on forums and you look at those, you'll see, there's a whole forums that are only people doing private blog networks hang out. And that you just see they have lists of 100, 200 of these $1 and $2 and $5 hosting packages. And the hosting company we recommend, they're just way ahead of that whole game. And it costs less. They actually cost less. So, it's in the members area. Check it out. Module 7, I believe. Yep, being module 7. So yeah, no host 9. If you got host 9, and you've had it for a while and nothing's wrong with your sites, then just you don't need to worry. You're doing fine. Regarding the domain purchase, should this be an exact match domain? No, absolutely not. Exact match domains, yes, you're going to see them ranked, but they're usually older ones. You want to be branding, so you want a branded site. Okay, so you do not want something like dentist in Phoenix. That's not a company name. The only people who choose that are SEO people. That's it. People who are trying to game the system. Rather than do that, you want to have something like the tooth doctor, or we fix ugly teeth, or something like that. The smile makeover king or something. You want something that sounds kind of brandable. Don't be concerned about keywords in there. I've seen the discussions on our Facebook group, which, by the way, I think we have one of the, and I mean this, we have one of the best Facebook groups out there. It's a nice, good, kind of smaller Facebook group, and the members are so helpful. It's just like some of the stuff in the comments and the discussions that are going on there are fantastic. So kudos to those people who participate in there. It benefits a lot of people. So thank you for that. So we want to think more branding, get away from these, you gotta have a keywords in your domain. You don't. If one happens to slip in there, then fine. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Okay. That's not how you're ranking on that. Expired or simply from scratch, and does this require contacting the privacy details and all kinds of stuff? No. We cover all this in a course. I think this needs to go through the course. Yeah, you can go out and get an expired domain. You can. I mean, if you're up for it and you want to do it, and you can find one that's in the same niche you're in, you're going to rank a little faster. There's no doubt about it. But it's not a deal breaker on that. And as far as the names on that, I go over that in the course. You want to have it all your avatar names, your avatar address, your avatar phone number on that. So okay, let's move on here. What do we got going on? Is that it? Oh, that's it. That's all the questions and answers. So now we'll move into the chat box, and let me open up the chat box. What are we doing for time? Good. Let me grab a quick drink of water here. Okay. Let's get this going. So, alrighty. Questions in there. Okay. So this is a good one on here. And what I like to do is copy and paste these questions in for people who come back and watch the replay. That was another suggestion by a member, by the way. I think it was really good. So it says in here, so Chris, how do you avoid those distractions? I can concentrate for a couple of days and back again to procrastinating. How to better discipline yourself on that of it. So fantastic, really good question. And you're not alone. We all battle with that. And really what it comes down to on that, the thing, I don't pretend to have the answers. I just give you my input on it. But I think it starts by eliminating the distractions in your life and being aware of them. One thing is that, when you are going to sit down and you are going to work, make sure you got those, just turn the darn things off and just say, for the next 45 minutes, I'm just going to keep my mind focused on this. I'm not going to answer a phone call. In fact, I won't even know it's coming in because I might have to even put my phone or turn the phone off. Okay. I'm going to turn off every kind of distraction that I have on my computer, and I'm just going to do this for 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, you look up at the clock. After 45 minutes, get up, walk around, maybe then go check your distractions for 5 minutes. Grab some water, stretch your legs, sit back down, and repeat the process. Okay. The other things you can do in your life to help stay more focused is a very simple thing. Is just the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning. Just spend 3 minutes meditating. Just 3 minutes in the morning, just meditating. And you can meditate with your eyes open. That's the way I do it. I don't like to do it closed. And I know it's like goes against convention and all that stuff, but I think it's actually, I think it's smarter to do it that way with your eyes open. And the reason is because I want to stay in that. I'm trying to calm the brain and the body down, and I'm trying to do that in such a way that I can do that during my waking, walking, working state. And I want to be able to replicate that. So if you're meditating with your eyes open and you're just either gazing out at a white wall or you're gazing out a window, it doesn't matter. You're just calming everything down and you're sitting still. I think it's easier to replicate that process if you kept your eyes open. But it doesn't matter, right? How often do we just sit down and do nothing? Whether your eyes are closed or open, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You're still going to get the benefits out. So I would just do that. And I'm not prescribing something crazy like, oh goodness, 20 minutes. No, 3 minutes. Do it every day. It's so easy to do. And then if you want to, you do that for a little bit and you want to layer something else on top of that, start immediately after that. Read intensively for like 10 to 15 minutes of a book that will add value to you. But read it voraciously and read it and concentrate when you're doing it. This will really set up your day to help calm the mind and help it keep it on that narrow path of success. Okay. Again, we have these brains that probably were just absolutely phenomenally perfect for our environment 10,000 years ago, but our brains just can't keep up with it now. And now we're in these weird environments, and it just, things that worked really good for us now work against us. And the other part is the food part. I'm telling you, somebody I should probably put that video up. I share a lot of health stuff. A lot of times people think I'm in the health niche. I'm not. But I share a lot of health things, and that's just because I just enjoy sharing things. I've shared a lot of things on fasting. Now, you don't have to intermittent fast, but I'm telling you should probably give it a try if you really want to focus and concentrate. There's nothing else like it. And I'm not alone in this. I've just been sharing stuff like that out there and stuff. And I just somebody just put on my thread the other day, made a video testimonial just out of the blue. And he's been doing it for 63 days at the time he made the video. And he just can't, he just expressed generally how more focused he is at work, and how I think he probably started it because he wanted to lose some weight and get more fit. But what he really found out is that the real surprising benefit is how focused your brain gets. And it's a lot easier to stay on that narrow path of success. So I would strongly encourage people to do that. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, but you're kind of curious, just go to my Facebook. I don't have a fan page or anything, just my regular Facebook page, and that's it's Winters Chris, because someone else took Chris Winters, so it's Facebook.com/Winters Chris. And if you just look, on where it has the pictures and then it has the videos. I don't have very many videos, so it's easy to find. There's one in there got around a lot, still does. And I just talk about, like, I'm on the way to the gym. I talk for like 17 minutes about intermittent fasting. It's like everything you ever want to know about intermittent fasting, I tell you as I'm walking to the gym. So check that out. That's a good way to do that. And it's like a muscle. You got to work it out, right? It's not going to happen every day. It's not going to happen overnight. You just continuously do it. But anyways, that's a good question on that in a bit. Let me get through these other ones here. Okay, so let's rock and roll here. Question. Okay, so Steve, if as soon as you have, we don't want to release it until people are ready for it. So as soon as you have gone through our process on that, and you can show us that you've got a call zoo type of, you don't have to use our thing, but a call zoo type of process, the master domain, you can tell that it's a master domain, and you've got it up in a place to where you're going to be getting some calls in, then yeah, just send that in. That's all you got to do. I don't want people going ahead, because it's like everybody wants to race to the end. It's like, and I'm not Steve. I'm not saying you're doing that, by the way, but everybody wants to race to the end. It's like the first thing people want to see is they want to see, okay, what's the landing page in the video look like that, basically your squeeze page where you send prospects to. It's like everyone wants to see at the end. Like, hey, oh, hello. It doesn't matter. Okay. If I release that and you're not ready for it, then what people end up doing is they end up taking that and replicating that, and you can just swipe everything we've got, and you'll make a few little adjustments for your niche, and it'll be fine, and putting that on their company website. And they feel like they've accomplished something, but they have no clients. They don't even have a site up. They're not even ranking on the first 10 pages. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm not saying everyone does that. It's just a human nature. They want to feel like they've accomplished something. Anyways, so... Okay, so what country am I in today? I'm in Spain, but I'm off to China and then the Philippines after that. Okay, so let me answer this as a good question on here. Carol, thank you for sending that in, or for typing it in. Let me put it in the chat box here for the replayers. I've just started. Congratulations. But won't there be some time while we wait for ranking, and is there nothing to do? There's quite a bit to do on that end of it, and one of the things is that you can continue to start to build out the private blog networks. You can build those out. You're going to build out, and by the way, you can build them out. You could build out 10 or 20 of them, by the way, and not send any backlinks to your site. Send them out nice and slow, like maybe about 2 a month. Okay, nice and slow and steady, while you're layering on top of that crowdsource on that. Crowdsource, by the way, is fantastic. Let me put in there. This is why I like crowdsource and why it is a part of our system. And the reason is this: is that if you've got a brand new site and it's like it just got indexed, but then a week later it's all of a sudden got 5 or 6 backlinks, and some of those are authority backlinks. How is that possible? Don't you think they have an algorithm for that, Google? How is that possible? How can a site be a week old and it's not even showing up on the search engines, it's only indexed? How is that possible? It's not, okay? But what is possible and what makes perfect sense is crowdsource, because crowdsource comes in, they've got real people with real IP addresses from real different computers searching for. The way I recommend is you start out, they search for your brand name into Google, and then obviously if you're indexed, your brand name is going to show up, like on at least the top 3, and then they click on your site and they spend 2 or 3 minutes there. They click around a couple pages, and then they take off, and then they stop searching in the internet for that particular niche. Okay. What does that tell Google if someone's doing that 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 times a day, right? And then about a week later from that, all of a sudden you get an authority backlink. That looks pretty darn natural, doesn't it? And it's going to help your rankings on top of it. And then you keep doing that. And then pretty soon you're going to layer in another layer into it. And that is you're going to notice by just doing the brand name and a couple of good backlinks to your site, along with the crowdsource, what you're going to notice over time is all of a sudden you're going to start ranking around page, 10, 9, 8, 7 for some of your main keywords. Now, crowd search comes in, and now you have them not search for your brand name, but now for those keywords. And then you're going to, and the quality, few little backlinks coming in, nothing crazy. You're brand new. That's the ultimate thing. You see, there's Google depends more not on your, and I know everyone says backlinks. No, it's not backlinks. It's how many people are actually searching for your brand name, searching for a niche, and skipping everyone else in that niche and going right to your site and staying there. And then they're done searching. What does that tell Google? What's that tell? And Google, these are real people doing this. So there is no way that they can know what's going on here. Okay, it's absolutely genius. I don't know why more. I'll tell you why more people don't do it. It's because they go about it the wrong way. What's happened is the majority of people come into the crowdsource and they go, "Oh, I've heard about this crowdsource. It sounds great." Blah 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 blah. But they're coming in and then it's like they've already screwed up. They don't know that much about SEO, or they've over optimized, and Google's already slapping the heck out of them. And then they come in and try it for a week and they go, "Oh, it doesn't work." Yeah, you got to work it right. You got to have a little bit of patience. It works. It makes so much sense logically, right? It makes so much freaking sense. Google, they know every single site. They keep a track of every site. How many people come on your site? How long do they stay on there? If your site has got a quick bounce rate, someone's searching. It doesn't matter how many backlinks you got. If you're all of a sudden ranking number 1, but the people that search for Bell's Bond, and there it is, number 1, they click on your site, and then they're like, boom, they get off really quick, and then they go like to the second one down, and they stay on there. Guess what's going to happen? Your site's going down in rankings, yes, and theirs is going up with no backlinks, but yours has all the backlinks. Okay? Does that not make perfect sense? Google lets people vote what's the best thing. This isn't nothing new. They've had this since day one. Okay? So, what is this? So there is work that you need to do there, Carl. Definitely. You can, and you can, there's no reason why you can't start adding other cities to this. Okay? There's no reason why you can't start adding other cities, other private blog networks, Web 2.0s that come in. That's a lot of work. Now, one thing you could do on top of that is that as you're building it out, as you're learning the process, then you should definitely check out the last 2 previous coaching calls on that, on how to build your dream team. If you haven't listened to those, go through those. You should be then at that point building your dream team, building the number one. People ask me all the time. They say, "Chris, if there's one thing you could do before, if I go in a podcast or I'm on an expert panel or blah blah blah, whatever." I was like, "Well, if you could do one thing all over, what would you do?" And my response is 100% congruent and consistent. I would have hired a lot earlier, like day 1, I would have hired somebody. You want to hire a dream team. You are not a doer and pusher of backlinks and making sites and inserting phone numbers and blah, blah. That's not your job. Okay. Your job is to create jobs and create teams that then go out and service the public. Okay. You're a systems person or gal. You are somebody who builds teams. You are not someone who goes out and you don't do the plumbing. Okay, you're not a plumber. You don't drive the truck out to someone's house with your tool belt on and go in there and do that. That's an employee mindset. That's a solopreneur mindset. A solopreneur is someone who's just an employee that works at home or works in their own truck and drives out to other places, and they think they're self-employed, and they're not. They're usually getting paid less than an employee, but working twice as much, and they're exhausted all the time, but they think they're a glorified entrepreneur. No. An entrepreneur is somebody who has vision for the company, their company and create systems and places for other people to do it. You McDonaldize your company. So there's a lot you can be doing right now, Carol. A lot. Systemize your company on here. And I go over all that in the other ones. Good question. Replays are always available, like scary fast, usually within an hour or two after these. And the replays are always posted. They always get posted, so you don't have to wait days for them. You wait hours, literally. Okay, let me do that. Let's see here. Just joined up this week. Stunning training. Thank you so much. I'm in the UK, and I understand the US is the biggest marketplace. But I worry if I don't understand the culture enough and will make mistakes. Will be better practice to be in the UK. And then that's why that's a valid concern, Rob. It's a very valid concern. And I totally get it. But what you want to do on here is you do not want to walk away from the biggest marketplace because you think you may not understand it. Okay. I mean, my family was just in the spring break. They spent it all in the UK or in London for a week, and they understood everything that was going on. It was the first time they'd been there. Okay, and it's because they were born in the States. The similarities are really, really, really close. So I wouldn't be worrying about that. Now, the other thing is that you're not alone here. Nobody is. You've got these weekly coaching calls. You've got an amazing Facebook group on here. You can ask them any kind of these kind of questions. Hey, is there anyone else from somewhere else outside the U.S. that is dealing with this? Or I don't quite understand, maps or how the cities work or blah, 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 or whatever. Myself, my staff, people in the group, they're all there. And there's, it's just a fear. And don't let these fears prevent you from going where you should go. You already said it. You say it and you know it. If I said, Rob, you got to pass this question, okay? Which has the biggest marketplace for selling leads? United States or UK? There's no hesitation there, right? It's clearly on that. It's just pure size. That's it. It's just pure numbers. It's just more cities, more population. That's it. And so you already know that. So don't let some little thing like this. And by the way, if you ever did have to speak to somebody in the U.S., more than likely, particularly if you're more around the London area, don't get too far off into Liverpool and those. I don't know what your accent is like, but for the most part, you know what I'm talking about. There's variations of accents over there, but as long as it's not too thick, it's going to be fine. They're going to think you're 10 times smarter than they are. That's the deal there. So good question. Don't lead with the fear on that. Okay, this is a good question on here. Okay, good. Hold on. Copy that. And paste. Okay, so did I get that in there? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Is there a big difference between the all keywords and the mobile keywords since they're going after calls to make sense on this? Yeah, you're overthinking it, Paul. All you need to do is just all keywords. It's just all keywords on here, and all keywords is going to include everything, and that's enough of a criteria that you're going to be fine on that. Don't overthink it on that. If it was important in the training, I would have put, hey, you only select mobile, okay? Or you only select this. No, all. Done deal. Okay, so this is a lot of good questions here. So the question on here is, once I hire a VA, can I allow him or her to access to these calls and trainings? You can to the calls on here. I've got somebody at the, I really apologize, this is running over a little bit. I have somebody at the door that I have to answer, so if you don't mind, I'm going to just go silent for just a second here, but I will be right back. Sorry about that. Thanks for waiting. Did we lose everybody? Nope. Everybody's doing good. Awesome. So this is a great question on here, and that is, once I hire a VA, can I allow him or her access to these calls and trainings? You you can, of course. I've got no issues with that because I want to see you succeed, and I'm all for training the dream team. But please go back and watch the two webinars that I did, the two most previous ones, because I go over this in detail in both of them. And it's really important for you. One of the biggest mistakes I see people do is they just, with the VAs, is they go, well, this is one of many, but I'm not going to repeat the last two webinars, is they hire a VA and they don't hire them right. Okay, I go over exactly how to write. And they say, here's a course, learn how to do it, get it done fast, basically. And that's not how you do it. You have to learn how to systemize your business. And you got to retool and start re-looking at the world differently. And anyways, watch those two. It's really important. So don't make that mistake and just say, hey, attend the calls, go for the training, you're done. It's not, that will set you up for failure 100% of the time. Okay, good. Okay. I just got started. I'm more of a marketing salesperson and a team builder. Awesome. Yeah, you want to be a team builder. That's what you got to think of. You're a team and systems builder. Can this dream team that you're talking about help me build and rank these sites? Absolutely, yes. And let me focus on my strengths. Absolutely. That's it. Period. That's what you want them to do. Look, how long does it take to get a really good person on your team? A lot of people don't want to hear this, but I'm here to deliver the truth. Some of you will get lucky, and you'll find somebody like in a couple of weeks. But a really good person to find, you're looking at about 4 to 12 weeks out. So if you think you don't need someone now, you get them. And if you find somebody and they're awesome and you for some reason don't think you're ready for them, hire them anyways and start sweating buckets, because it will force you to get into the mindset of being the person in charge of the business, of now creating and building business for your business rather than being stuck in your business. It's the best, most healthy pressure you could possibly have on yourself. Okay. Good. Okay, just got the questions on here. Okay, so Patrick asks on here. Let me just copy the question, put it in. He asks, I don't know what business information to use to build a site out before I have a place to sell the leads. I don't know what business information to use to build out. Patrick, I'm not quite sure what the question is, but if you're not quite sure what business information to use, like address or contact information, stuff like that, that is covered in the course. So I don't want to cover it again here. To use to build the site out before I have a place to sell the leads. Yeah, Patrick. I don't know if you've gone through all the modules yet or not, but if you've gone through and actually done the work, not just gone through them, that is covered in there. And if I didn't answer your question now, then my support's awesome though. And just rephrase the question a little bit, because it's just a little bit unclear. Okay, so all right, so when we are completing Module 1's spreadsheet for our niches, do we need to do the amount of reviews, adjusting stats, etc. for every keyword, or just for the main keywords? That's going to give, especially like every niche has got like that one keyword that has the most searches in it. That's the one you want to be studying and looking at it. So it's a good question. Shouldn't we go through the process of the first couple of cities ourselves so that we understand it thoroughly before hiring help? Just one is enough. And as you're doing that one, as you're doing everything as you're doing along the way there. You want to be at that point thinking, how am I going to teach this? And you want to then, how am I going to create systems for this? And this, you want to be able to know it so well that you can teach it. And then it's the only time you'll ever have to teach it, because the way that I do it is that after that, then my team then teaches. They continue and make the training on that end of it. Okay. So good question. Everyone needs to, there's a lot of people here need to watch the last two videos on that, last two coaching calls. And if you're brand new, you don't know where it is, it's just in the members there, the .biz, upper right hand, coaching calls, all the replays are there, so on and so forth. And I don't put in like 4 months in advance of scheduled coaching calls. I'll usually, what I'll do is after this coaching call is I'll look at my schedule and where am I going to be. I'll do the whole time zone thing and what's going on, and then I'll put it up. But it always gets put up. Okay, it's just that I travel a lot, so, and it's just too hard to know where I'm going to be on that. We have our niches narrowed down to several. What do you think of a short outbound telemarketing survey? This is a great question. Okay, so what do I think of a short telemarketing outbound, asking a handful of businesses, each of those niches, to determine their level of interest? Yeah, in receiving leads. So yes, David, that's brilliant, and everybody should consider doing this as part of your research, because it's so critical. So, basically what it's saying in here is you're going to be, should you not, part of the field research should really be that you come in and you're going to, after you got the niche, you got the numbers, you've done all the, you've screened it through me. You've got like, okay, these are like the top 2 finalists. Either one would be fine. Just depends on what you want to commit with. At that point is a really good point to come in, and I would suggest making 2 kind of phone calls. One is call, and don't just call one business and in one city. I mean, spread this out among different states and cities. Call and just pose as a customer. Just ask questions as a customer so that you can understand what the buying process is. And it will glean all kinds of insights, because you've got to become an expert in your niche, period. And this is one of the ways you can do it. You can never become an expert in your niche if you're only just staring night and day at the numbers, the Google keyword planner. You got to get the heck out of there fast. Okay. And so calling and just doing that. And then the second thing is that once you've got kind of narrowed down, everything's alignment is looking good. It's a really good idea. I mean, as long as you got the searches and there's a need for Google AdWords out there, there's a need for the leads, right? But it's always a good idea to call and just say, hey, I'm not trying to sell you anything. We're a startup company. This is what we do. We're just taking surveys. Is there a need for this? This is the type of marketing we think there is, but we don't want to assume it. And just tell them exactly what you're trying to do. It's just live leads from the area phone calls that you get, and you just, we'd probably charge $10 or $15. We haven't even determined that yet, but if we do this, and you would in your area, and we offer some free, like a week of free trial, if we just ask for your feedback, but would this be something you'd be interested into adding into your mix of marketing? And if you get like a heck yes, then you want to ask some more questions on that. Just going to take a couple of those, you're going to get a whole new insight into it that no one else will have. And you want to ask questions like, what's your most ideal client, or what's your, try to understand what their business and their pain points are on that end of it. So you don't have to do that, but really good idea. You pretty much have gone through all of the vetting process up to that point, that, I'd say 99.9% of you are going to be just fine. But this would be a fantastic final step if you're really serious about it. But I know a lot of people are scared poopless to pick up the phone and call. You should actually break through that, not because you want to be a telemarketer, but just because growth takes place anytime you face your fear and step beyond it. Okay, let me just clean this up a bit here. And Okay, so let's go through some of these. Yep, someone's verifying that. Okay, so we got some. Alrighty, cool. All right, hey, I'm going to wrap this up here. If there's any urgent questions that did not get answered here, I do apologize, but you send them into my support desk on here, and they quite frankly know this business better than I do. They are my dream team, so remember that my dream team is answering your questions. And if there's, if they don't know the answer to it, they're not just going to, they're gonna seek the answer. But so that's always a fantastic source. That's what they're there for you. So use them. Get involved in the Facebook group. You'll see when you look through the threads there, right? Look how helpful everyone is. Someone asks a question, people. There's some really good threads. There's some really good discussions going on there. So my name is Chris Winters, and we'll talk to you on the next coaching call. Take care. Bye.